On this episode of Where's the Line, me and Joseph break down defensive depth charts for our teams. Football is here. This is episode number 131. Let's get into it.
You are now listening to the Where's the Line podcast with Joseph West and Britt Dillard. Enjoy the show.
Milton gonna take a shot wide open and just strutting in is Keaton. Joe Milton does it again.
Orji again on a blitz. Levis pocket collapses. He's on the run. He just heaves it up. And it's intercepted by Vanderbilt. And let the celebration begin. The streak is over at 26. The Commodores win it.
Talk about Vanderbilt football. All I gotta say, and you're going to hell. Wow.
Another edition of Where's the Line. It is Wednesday, August 7th. This is episode number 131. My name is Britt Dillard, joined here by my good buddy Joseph West. How are you today, brother?
Britt, I'm fantastic. First of all, let me say this. It's good to hear your voice. Let me say that. It's good to hear your voice.
It's good to hear your voice. You're looking great.
It's football time. Thank you, sir. So are you. It's almost football time. We're getting to the part where the dog days are over. The dog days are over. They're over, okay? They're here no more. I'm looking for... You don't know that song?
Mm-mm.
Okay, you're tripping. You're going to listen to it after this. That's okay. But you're at the point where I can almost smell it. Like, just every year before football season, I wake up one morning and I smell it in the air. Like, I can smell the pigskin. I can feel the contact. Like, it's just, I haven't got it yet, but it's coming. I can feel it coming.
Oh, that day's coming. There's always that first day that you step outside and you know that it's coming.
That it's football time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, ultimately, I'm on a heck of a week here. Kanye West dropped a new album this weekend. That was a big-time dub for me. Commodores started fall practice last week. It's got some good practices in. News coming out everywhere. Well, kind of. But yeah, I mean, it's a great time to be a football fan. It's a great time to be me, and it's a great time to be here on Where's the Line.
Okay.
You don't get much better than that.
It's good to be here. I had a hold my beer moment yesterday when I fell off of my roof and landed literally directly on my butt off on the ground off the roof. So
that is crazy.
I'm in a little bit of pain today, but we push on. I stepped on a thorn, and now I have a bruise on my foot. But
and that's really nothing to us. Where's the Line perseveres, no matter what. So, I mean, that's just kind of what we do here on WTL. Listen. There's no more, like I said, the dog days are over. There's no more bull crap. There's no more what would you do to Hitler as a baby. There's no more love corner, okay? The only thing I love right now is football. Okay, that's what I love. We're going to start off defensive preview this week. Let's get right into it. Britt, let's go with UT first. Man, start with any position you'd like. But we just want to know, Britt, who are you expecting to start? Who's gonna get some playing time behind them? You start wherever.
Okay, I'm gonna start on the defensive line. Now, this defensive line was constructed by, largely in part, a man that we call Defensive Rain Man, Mr. Show Calls, Cornbread, Mr. Jeremy Pruitt. Bill, you can say what you want to about Jeremy Pruitt. Jeremy Pruitt built this defensive line that is going to be among the top of the Southeastern Conference. Was built by Jeremy Pruitt. But let's get into it. And they've got it broken down. Tennessee runs a 4-2-5 defense with 4 D linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 secondary players. They've got it broken down: nose tackle, D tackle, edge, and defensive end. But the big men, the centerpiece, the baloney stick of this defensive line, nose tackle, Amari Thomas, Big O, Memphis native. Let's go, Big Amari Thomas. When you start talking about Big Amari Thomas, that's how you know it's football season. I'm just getting fired up thinking about Big Amari Thomas running out there. Second string, the junkyard dog, Elijah Simmons, backing up Big Amari Thomas. Listen, Elijah Simmons has played football for 10 years. He committed to Jeremy Pruitt when I was in high school, I'm pretty sure. Elijah Simmons. Okay, I need to move faster. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Defensive tackle. I think this was Jeremy Pruitt's favorite player he recruited, Bryson Eason. He's a senior, I believe. Backing up him as Omar Norman Lott, who had a good year last year, transfer in. I want to say from Arizona State. Edge rusher, James Pierce Jr., going to be the best player on this defense. Looking to get drafted high. He's a junior. Another player similar to him, backing him up, is Joshua Josephs, a guy that we were more excited about than James Pierce, at least I was. But another really good player behind Pierce. Those are your edge rushers. At defensive end, Dominic Bailey, Tyree West, and that kind of rounds out just your top 8 in your rotation. I think they're going to rotate like 11 or 12 guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, is Caleb Perry getting no action there?
I mean, not in my front 8. I mean, he's there at 10, 11.
I got you. I just wanted to say that.
But a big rotation for Tennessee, that's something they've done ever since Rodney Gardner came in. They just like to rotate a lot of guys. Can you hear me? Okay, there you are.
I can. It cut out for a second, but I can hear you. I was losing connection, I believe, but I'm all good now.
Okay, at the linebacker positions, moving on. One side, Mike linebacker, Keenan Pili. Keenan Pili, this is a show me year. He played in one game, like a few series against Virginia last year and got hurt. But he's a transfer in. And I believe this is the last year that we're going to see COVID years. I believe I've heard you say that before.
What did you say?
I think this is the last year of COVID years, of the COVID players.
24. Yeah, I think this year is the last year, I think.
But Keenan Pili's a veteran. To show you how long Keenan Pili has played, in 2018 when Tennessee lost to BYU, Keenan Pili was on that team. He was on that BYU team in 2018.
Let's go.
So this guy's been around, backing him up. True sophomore Jeremiah Thielander, who looked really good in his freshman year. Tennessee's linebackers the last few years has been more of a one-man show with Aaron Beasley. Jeremy Banks was good. We like Jeremy Banks, but I think now and across this entire defense, there's just more depth. Like there's less standouts and more just overall average good players. Which is good to see. At the other linebacker spot, Arian Carter from Smyrna. He's a sophomore. Looked really good last year before he got hurt. And backing him up is Caleb Perry, who he may be a freshman or he may be a sophomore. I'm not sure. Haven't seen much of him, but those are your linebackers. At cornerback, I'm going to try to go. I feel like I'm taking forever.
No, you're fine, dude.
At cornerback, this Tennessee secondary is new look. None of these guys, all new starters in the secondary, which if you're a Tennessee fan, that is a good thing. Tank McCullough, thank you for your service. I'm glad you're not here, man. There comes a point that you've got to move on. But at cornerback, Your two starters are Jermod McCoy from Oregon State and Ricky Gibson III, who's a true sophomore, who's a highly touted recruit. Those are your starters. Backing them up, Jordan Matthews, who came in with Gibson. He'll be a sophomore. Another highly recruited guy, great quarterback and announcer. Jordan Matthews was the receiver.
Yeah, he's elite. Don't be talking about Jordan Rogers. We hate that guy.
Yeah. And your fourth guy is Christian Harrison. I didn't know who to put there. That's Rodney Harrison's son. He's a junior. I don't know if I've seen him play a snap.
That's funny. I actually had him as the backup at the star position. To Boo.
It kind of just depends on injuries, but all these guys for the most part are kind of interchangeable.
Got it.
And I actually don't have Boo at star.
Oh, you don't have him at the star.
Or sneak peek there, yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm out here jumping. I'm ruining Britt's swagger on this defensive preview for the Vols.
No, you're good. At star, I've got Jalen McMurray, transfer from Temple. Kind of reminds me of Gabe Giulilali. Hopefully he's a little bit better. Backing him up, Andre Turrenton. Free safety, Jacoby Thomas. He may be the guy I'm least confident in. Just coming from MTSU. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, a big upgrade in competition from Conference USA to the SEC. And then backing him up, I had Jordan Thomas, but he went down with a knee injury this week. So somebody will have to step up there at safety. Strong safety, Boo Carter, true freshman, a guy that if you're a Tennessee fan, you're excited about. Even before Thomas went down, you thought Boo Carter would have a chance to push for a starting role. He's like a guy that they say you just can't leave him off the field. And like me and Joseph were talking before we started recording, I think Tennessee needs to start having true freshmen contribute. And I think overall, if you're a program, you want to see true freshmen contribute to your program as a recruiting point. And just, I feel like this Tennessee defense has become stagnant over the years. Like it's the same guys every year. It has seemed like. But I've got Boo Carter there, John Slaughter backing him up. I feel really good about this defense. I think that this change is a good change. And personally, defense has never been Tennessee's problem under Josh Heupel. I personally believe that Tim Banks has done a really good job. When your defense is on the field more than most other units, you're going to give up more points. But I think that the games Tennessee has lost has been lack of offense. Like last year, Tennessee's defense won you a game last year. I would even say 2 games. I would say they won you A&M and Kentucky last year. And that's something that Josh Heupel's not accustomed to needing that. So there, and what I kept going back to is I think Tennessee's defensive line is going to be so good this year that they're not going to let this defense suck. I think they're going to elevate the defense, especially the secondary, a lot.
Yeah, and they easily could. Just to get this out there, in case this is the way it ends up falling, I wanted to have this out here. I was reading today at practice. Tennessee rolled out their first team defense today at practice. Not saying that Britt is incorrect by any means, but just who they rolled out today was they had Jermod McCoy and Ricky Gibson III at corner, Boo Carter at the star, Will Brooks and Andre Turrenton as the safeties. That's who they rolled out as team number 1 there. They rolled out the second group as McMurray and Jordan Matthews at corner, Christian Harrison at star, Jacoby Thomas at one safety, and Christian Charles and John Slaughter bracketed at the other safety spot. Says that Slaughter was shadowing Charles. And, that obviously they just went on to say that could be the order in which it goes. Obviously, they don't know yet. It's really early in fall camp. But just to throw some of those names I didn't hear from Britt, so just to get those names out there too. I actually agree with Britt with a lot of what he said about the defense. Tennessee's defense is 100% going to elevate their defense as a whole because their line's going to get pressure pretty consistently against most teams. I would think they're going to get pressure. what still scares me when you look at Tennessee's team is their secondary. If I had to pick a flaw of the defense, I would easily go secondary just because, like Britt said, I would be in the same boat as him, as you, Britt, honestly, with just switching out names. It just makes you feel better. But a lot of these dudes are young and haven't played a lot of ball, and that usually in the SEC for corners never goes well. Even the 5-star corners, they come into the SEC and they have really bad games. And, I just think that their corners are going to struggle. But like Britt was kind of saying, I mean, if UT can get all kinds of pressure, it won't matter. It really won't matter. Now, they're not going to get pressure every down, so your corners are going to get, taken advantage of at some point. But, if they're decent, they're going to be fine. I just think corner/safety, especially with Jordan Thomas going down. This same site earlier had Jordan Thomas as a starter I guess that's technically the field safety. They had him as the starter there. So losing your quote-unquote starting safety sucks when your cornerback room already probably isn't as deep with experience as you would like it.
Well, I agree with you. It is the weakest unit because, it's definitely not the D-line. You've got the most depth at linebacker you've had with Josh here. Your secondary, it makes you feel a lot better to have all new guys come in. It's like when you have a new head coach come in, like you expect to be better. But I would much more be inclined to believe that new players will be better than the old ones than to think that the old ones all of a sudden learned how to turn their head and make a play. But like Will Brooks, the player you mentioned at safety, he's a walk-on. Now, he has made plays for Tennessee. He was out there and made a pass breakup against the known woman beater, Jermaine Burton, against Alabama. He made the final stop before Alabama missed their field goal. Will Brooks, a walk-on, was like a sophomore at the time, made that play. So no disrespect to the guy, but he's not on scholarship that I know of.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to say that's not your weakest unit.
Right. No doubt. Getting into – you were done, right, Brett? You went through everybody, correct? Just to make sure.
Yeah.
Getting into Vanderbilt's defense here. I'll start on the D-line too then since Brett did. Starting at the new – Vanderbilt has kind of renamed their defense. So we used to have star and anchor just like UT. Now are the hybrid defensive end / linebacker that kind of does both. We're calling that Razor now. At our Razor position, I think the starter is going to be Miles Capers. I think Razor. I love Miles Capers. 2 years ago on this podcast, you heard me rave about this guy in fall camp. They said that he was going to rush the passer. He was going to be insane. He was going to be Vanderbilt's best pass rusher in a while, and he tore his ACL. Last year, he worked his way back into getting some playing time and just struggled. It's hard. You took just over a year and a couple of months off of not playing any football. It's hard, but I think he's going to be the starter. Backing him up will be DeCosmo, who actually had a big play against Georgia last year, showed flashes, really good against the run. I think can do positive things for you. And BJ Diakite, I'm really torn on who's going to get the snaps there. I think it will kind of rotate on if it's a run down or a pass down. I think Diakite could get more snaps. If we're in more passing situations. Going to the 3 technique at defensive tackle, the starter is going to be Big Devin Lee. Dude's huge. He's looking really, really good right now. He's put on weight, healthy weight, looks good. And I'll actually get into some of Vanderbilt's weights and how much they've done in the weight room this year because it's really important for after the season Vanderbilt had last year. His backup, I think, will be Christian James if he can ever get healthy. This dude was a beast in 2022. We haven't seen him since. We haven't seen him since like week 10 or week 11 of 2022. He got hurt. We didn't see him all last year, and he's hurt right now. I think the true backup will probably be Bradley Mann, who's a sophomore. Had good year. Got another guy that's been injured and's had to fight back. But I think you'll end up seeing Mann there as the 3 technique backup. At nose tackle, got big Issa Wataha. That's the big German. He's huge, 6'7". He's also put on weight. Dude's massive. They say he's getting better and better with his technique. He's a guy that I think when the lights come on you're just gonna have to see it because he's a freak. When you're sitting beside him, you're like, holy crap, this dude's huge. He's ripped. Like, how is this guy not a beast? I think he could be a dude that just snaps one game and it's over after that. Like, he's a beast from then on out. I think he's just got to see it one time, honestly. He hasn't played football for a long time. So I think if he ever goes off, it's going to be big for Vanderbilt because he's a player that shouldn't be at Vandy. Like, this dude should not be at Vandy. He's
for a second, it sounded like you were talking about Joe Milton, but then you said he would be good, and I was like, okay, no, that's not a good.
Not him. This is a Big D right here, Demarion Thomas. He's a dog. Very similar to UT's Big O.
Why they call him that?
We got Big D, Demarion Thomas. That's what the D stands for, Demarion. But yeah, he's a sophomore. He's a beast. He's another guy that I think at nose tackle, Vanderbilt usually doesn't have a guy like this. But he's really talented. He's just pretty raw. But he seems they're talking more and more about him every day. At the defensive end position, you're gonna have, I think the transfer is gonna be starting from MTSU. Zaylen Wood had 2 big games last year. Tore up Miami. Had a huge day against Miami last year. I think his backup is gonna be another transfer. Corday Sindor. I don't really know. One of those things. He's from Purdue. He's a transfer. Also, Darren Agu. Once again, I think they could all three get a lot of reps. I think this is the first year that I've ever had to go 3 deep because I don't know who's playing. It's a really good sign for Vanderbilt. Usually, I'm struggling to get 3 deep. It's a good sign that I'm saying I don't know who's going to get playing time. At inside linebacker at the mic, you're going to have the heart and soul Langston Patterson there. Langston's a beast. I can't say enough positive things about Langston. He stayed home after getting offers from like all the SEC teams. I really can't say enough positive things about him. His backup, I'm going to go Brian Longwell for now. Another hometown kid we got from Lipscomb Academy, sophomore. I just, if he doesn't start at linebacker, he'll back up Langston. If he doesn't start at the will position, but we'll see. But love to see 2 hometown kids from Nashville starting that year, getting reps at linebacker. At the inside linebacker, the wheel. This is, I think, my hardest position to pick. If, like I said, if it's not Longwell, then Prince Colley, Bryce Cowan, both of those guys could start. I think Cowan over Colley just because we actually got to see him in games last year and he looked good. Colley didn't play football last year. Super highly rated transfer from Notre Dame that got injured and we never got to see him play last year. So never got to see him on the field. But I think he can be really solid. We'll see. At the star, the outside linebacker, safety hybrid position, that's going to be Rando Big Fontenette from TCU. Apparently, he looks like our best transfer. He's been pretty much unstoppable in practice from what I've heard. Nobody can separate from this guy. He's looked great. Maybe that's because he's playing Vanderbilt's wide receivers. Maybe he's just actually that freaking good. I don't really know. I think he's going to be a big piece of Vanderbilt's defense, though. So really looking forward to what kind of he does in that position for Vanderbilt and kind of how they use him. Backup is going to be Jeffrey Hugo, dude who took over for C.J. Taylor last year when C.J. got hurt. So Jeffrey Hugo is going to be the backup there. Honestly, he's not near as good as Rando. He's okay. He may not even be an SEC caliber player, but he's an all right backup. Might be our worst backup that I've named so far, Jeffrey Hugo, but still not that upset with him. Cornerback, give me the boundary corner. Our boundary corner was going to be Marlon Jones Jr. until something has came up with him, and he will not be with the team until January now. Some sort of mental health thing, I believe. Regardless, best wishes to him. I don't think, obviously, he's going to play now. Or he won't be playing now. So I think the starter here at the corner, at the boundary, is going to be Colby Taylor, transfer from Wyoming. He's a junior. He's big size, like 6'2", 6'3", got good weight on him, can move really well. He's a talker. He's a talker for sure. He got a 15-yard penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct penalty in practice. Very similar to Heupel. I seen Heupel. I don't know what it is this year about coaches having refs at like all the practices, but like UT's having refs at their practices. Vanderbilt's having some refs at their practices, so that's interesting. But the backup boundary corner, I think could be a few different guys. I think you're looking at Tyson Russell, small, but he could get over there. Alvin Williamson Jr. is a redshirt freshman, could get looks. I think our corner room's just all right. I really had a lot of faith in it until Mark Davis got hurt in summer workouts and Marlon Jones Jr. went down. Trudell Berry will have a chance. Martell Heights there. Our corners are going to be fine. I just named some of our other corner starter, but Martell Height could start there. I think Russell and Colby Taylor, I think, are going to be the two starting corners. I think you'll see Martell Height, Trudell Berry, maybe even some Alvin Williamson as a redshirt freshman mixed in there at corner. At the boundary safety, heart and soul, my king, not the king, but a king, CJ Taylor. Moved him to safety. Love that guy. He got offered the bag from everybody, and he just stayed. I love you, CJ. His backup is probably going to end up being DeRicky Wright. DeRicky Wright, the transfer portal for like the 8th time, but then came back somehow in like summer workouts. I don't even really know how they pulled it off, but he's back. I think he'll end up backing CJ Taylor up. At the field safety, Dante Carter, true freshman, ranked a top 5 safety out of high school. This dude's a beast. Vanderbilt should not have this guy on their team. He's amazing. All of the fall camp reports so far, 6 practices in, have said he's as advertised. He's going to be a guy that will be a Vanderbilt legend if he stays. This dude's special. I actually was talking today. I was talking today to a fellow Vanderbilt fan, updating him with some things that I was told, and he said, I'm really trying to temper my expectations. And I said, well, last year is not like this year. Last year you had the expectations of everybody was feeding you. It's not the same old Vandy. Vandy's different now, and you go out and you're the same old Vandy. That's not the pitch this year for me. The pitch this year for me is that when I look at the roster, I see talented guys. I don't have to ask anybody. I see talented guys. I've seen these guys in action. I've seen CJ Taylor get it done. I've seen Langston Patterson get it done. Be Rady, the second best linebacker in the SEC last year. I've seen that. I've seen CJ Taylor be a first-team All-SEC guy. I've watched Colby Taylor get it done on the collegiate level. Now, on a lower level, I know he played for Wyoming. I'm not oblivious to that. But I've seen him get it done at the collegiate level. You've watched your offensive guys get it done. But basically, just talking defense, you've watched a lot of these guys get it done, and they've at least got playing time. There's no more time for excuses, boys. It's time to strap up, and it's time to go. I think that Vanderbilt is going to have a top 8 defense in the SEC this year. I believe in this defense. I don't believe in our offense at all, but I believe in this defense. I believe in Clark Lee coaching it. I think he's a mastermind when it comes to defensive schemes and how he hides them and just how his brain works as a DC. I believe in this defense. I think you're going to see a really good Vanderbilt defense this year. If the defensive line can get pressure, this defense is going to be good. I think that's where it all lies for me. Where Tennessee, UC, that's the strength. I think that could be Vanderbilt's weakness, but we'll see how it all plays out. I believe in this defense, though. Just wanted to get it out there that I do believe they're going to be a top 8 SEC defense.
I was going to – good job, first of all. Last year, total defense, Vanderbilt ranked 128th out of 130.
Yep.
With Clark Lee taking over as the defensive coordinator, where does that number have to be for you to say good job? Just good job.
To me, anything above 90. I think anything above 90, you say good job. That would be pulling your team up nearly 40. I mean, more than 40 spots if he was 88 or better. So I think around there is the number for me to say good. You showed progress. Good job. I think the number for me to be really impressed and say Clark Lee could be the guy long term is if he gets it top 8 in the SEC. Because you're thinking the top 8 SEC defenses are probably going to be what, ranked top 60. I mean, if he brings this defense to top 60 in the nation, I think you got to be pretty happy. And people forget, but Vanderbilt had a top 30 defense in the country with Derek Mason. Let's not act like Vanderbilt didn't have a dog defense. They did. The defense carried them. The offense just couldn't get it done. So we've seen some good Vanderbilt defenses. It's not unrealistic for us to go top 50. I think we could be a top 50 defense. Top 8 in the SEC is where I'll go, though. I'm really excited with Clark Lee taking over the defense and bringing on Jerry Kill and Tim Beck has done wonders for him. I think it's going to be special. I think this team could be really special. Not necessarily as wins, but just as what they could do. I'm really excited to watch this defense play. Okay.
Okay. So, I just want to add this in here. I want you to picture what you've thought over the years with Tennessee's defense. Where do you think Tennessee's defense ranked in the SEC last year in terms of total defense?
In the SEC, you said?
Yes.
In terms of total defense. So are we going based off of yards? Like, what's the main factor here? Is it yards given up or points allowed? It may not say.
I think it is a mixture of yards per play.
Man, that's tough. I'll say they were on the back half though. I'll say they were 9.
Fourth.
Okay, got it.
32nd overall.
Yeah, that's not bad. Tennessee's defense was not bad overall last year.
Gosh.
But as Britt's given a sign to grace,
distractions, man.
He's on the pod. There's no time for women.
There's like 24 days till freaking football season. I'm trying to focus.
And we got women asking us for our time.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous there. I'll say that. But moving on, Britt, y'all are going to be punting a lot this year. No, Britt, going to special teams. Who's the punter? Who's the kicker? Do we have any faith in either one of them?
Oh, yeah. Special teams, punter, Jackson Ross, Melbourne, Australia. Jackson Ross is good. He's great, some would even say. Kicker, Josh Turbeville. I know he's going to be your kickoff guy. As far as place kickers, it'll either be him or what's his name? JT Carver. I think he's a he's not a transfer.
I call him Tubyville. Tubyville sucks in NCAA. That dude's terrible.
He can kick it a freaking mile. I know that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Who are your punter and kicker?
My punter is the GOAT from Ohio State, Jesse Micro, I believe. Micro, not really sure how to say his last name. Good punter. Ranked really well last year in hang time. His hang time's a little bit worse than Matthew Hayball's, and his punt average is 4 yards less. So a little bit of a downgrade in punter, but still really good. Kicker. A lot of people are nervous about kicker. A lot of people remember probably me talking about, or actually may not remember, but talked about getting Brock Taylor in a recruiting class 2 years ago. Big time kicker from Knoxville. The popular thing now is just to go get a transfer for kicker because you have a guy who's had experience and been able to kick the ball and has kicked the ball in live games. But for Vandy, we recruited a high school guy, gave him a scholarship. That's pretty unheard of now. He's got a huge leg. Brock Taylor knocked down 2 from 50, more than 50 the other day in practice. But it's a lot different kicking in a game. Dude's got a huge leg. It'll just be about as consistently. He's a redshirt freshman. He's had time to put on weight. We'll see what he can do. I'm excited, though. I'm really excited to see Brock Taylor get out there. I remember seeing him on his visit. He was tiny, and now he looks much bigger. So I think that he could be a really good kicker for Vandy. And for Vanderbilt to win games that are going to be close against guys like South Carolina, against guys like Kentucky, to win those games, you're going to need a good field goal kicker. You're going to need a dude who can hit a 40-yarder when the offense stalls out. I'm going to need him. We're going to lean on him. Brock, often and early, baby. We're going to need you. Start out against Vol Tech. I need you kicking them long. I'm sending this to him. I'm sending that clip to him.
I like it.
But there it is. Defensive special teams preview. That is in the books. Britt, but before we go, of course, let's hit this. Standout player. There's Rizzo. Say hello to Rizzo. That's our producer. Rizzo does all the editing of the podcast for us. Shout out Rizzo. Yep. The breakout players, Britt, on defense. Me and Britt kind of talked about this. The caveat of there is no don't hit me with like Britt can't say James Pierce. That's not a guy he's saying here. That's not an option. You can't say him. We're expecting James Pierce to have a good season. We're expecting James Pierce to be good. We want an underdog. We need a guy who's flying under the radar right now, but he's making an impact.
My breakout underdog is James Pierce. No.
Good. It's a good pick.
Ricky Gibson, sophomore. I think he's gonna be really good. I think he could be like an Alontae Taylor, Bryce Thompson kind of guy for Tennessee this year. And Boo Carter. Boo Carter's everybody's breakout.
I've got 2 here. For the first guy, I'm going to go Prince Kollie. And my kind of standard for this is guys who could do a lot or could do nothing. Prince Kollie, we may not hear his name one time all year. This dude may never see the field. He also could take a hold of this defense and lead it with C.J. Taylor and Langston Patterson. This is a boomer bust guy, I think. I think he's either going to get on the field and be as advertised, sideline to sideline speed, beast in coverage and rushing the passer. I think this dude could do it all, or we never hear his name. For my other one, I'm going Martel Hyde. I think Martel Hyde has all the tools. I think he could be great at corner. I know we know his name. He was highly touted. Maybe that's a bad one, but I really wanted to throw his name out there. I may be talking about how good he is, or I could be talking about where's he at halfway through the season. So we'll see. But I'm excited. I'm excited for football. It cannot get here fast enough for me.
I'm very excited. Before we say goodbye, you want to talk about Michigan?
Yeah, we can talk about Michigan.
What? My jaw dropped today when I saw that Jim Harbaugh got a 4-year show cause. Now, don't get me wrong. Jim Harbaugh's not coming back to college football. Look at Jim Harbaugh right now. He's the happiest man on earth.
Yeah.
In the NFL in Los Angeles with the Chargers. He's not coming back to college football. But a 4-year show cause. It's a pretty big deal. And this Connor Stallions documentary is going to be very interesting. I'm excited.
Listen, the 4-year show cause from Jim Harbaugh is like when me and Brett were at Tennessee Tech. If Shane Vaden, the principal of Gordonsville High School at the time, called us and said, "Hey, Brett and Joseph, y'all are suspended. We don't give a piss. We're at college. We don't care." That's the same thing this is. Jim Harbaugh don't give a piss. He's the coach of an NFL team. NCAA is so stupid. And let me say this, too. This has been firing me up because I've been listening to Josh Pate. I thought Josh Pate said it perfect on his podcast. For me, it's really this simple. I understand what Michigan did was wrong, but I don't think Michigan stealing signs is not what got them the 4th down stop in overtime against Alabama. It's not what drove them down the field with a little over 5 minutes to go against Bama when they scored the touchdown.
Well, they weren't. Oh my God, are you okay?
My bad. I'm sorry.
They weren't doing it allegedly after Connor Stallions left.
Right. So
he was a mastermind because Jim Harbaugh didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Even though he got a show cause after the investigation.
I think that Jim Harbaugh could not have known, but other people knew outside of Connor Stallions. I don't know who it was, but he wasn't alone for sure. I don't know if it was everyone, if it was just a few, what it was. Regardless, this doesn't really matter to me. If you change the logo, a lot of this goes away, I think. Like, if you change from team to team. If this was Tennessee, I'd probably have my pitchfork out. If this was Tennessee, Britt would be defending it, saying, "Hey, we earned our national title." Like, you can say what you want, but we earned our national title. And I would, he would have a point. And so I think that this can go like 1,000 different ways. But for me, it's really not that serious. I am excited for the documentary, though. But I was glad Jim Harbaugh was like, "Y'all stop asking me these stupid questions. I'm an NFL head coach now."
But, if you're a Michigan fan, can't take it away from you.
Nope.
The feeling that you had cannot be taken away. Now, it might get vacated. I wouldn't be surprised if it got vacated. But they'll really have to prove some stuff because the Connor Stallions, they weren't cheating after week 8, so they didn't win the national championship cheating, if that makes sense. But because once all the stuff started coming out, they weren't playing any games, getting caught live in the act. Surely not, at least. But yeah, Michigan is not the only team that got caught cheating. Kentucky got caught cheating as well. Got their 10-win season vacated. Screw you, Kentucky. I hate you. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, screw you.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was.
But also, to get in trouble over something that is legal now, I'm so glad it happened. I hate Kentucky. They're losers. But it's funny that they can do it right now and nobody cares. But because they did it a few years ago, they're in trouble. It's so dumb.
It is stupid. The NCAA is stupid as a whole. what's going to end up happening is the NCAA is going to keep going on these power trips. The same reason that they're targeting Jim Harbaugh because he did something they didn't like. And what's going to happen is they're going to piss off their own person one day, and the SEC and the Big Ten are going to say, we're getting our ball and we're going home. And they're going to create their own conference.
Yeah, it almost happened already.
They better stop playing stupid games because they're going to win a stupid prize, and they'll ruin it for everybody.
Well, hey, how about instead of chasing a coach that's not even in college football anymore, why don't you look at Athens, Georgia, where people are literally dying because Kirby Smart cannot get a hold of his players? That's what it comes down to. He has no control over his team. They're killing people.
I wonder how much of it, like, at some point, because I agree, once again, with Pate. I think he's maybe pretty level-headed about these things, but like he said, a coach really can only do so much. Like, most of these guys have gotten arrested. They're 20, 21-year-old, 22-year-old dudes. Like, this isn't an 18-year-old kid fresh on campus. Like, these are guys that have been in the program that are getting in trouble. I don't know how much of it's on Kirby Smart and just on these dudes are stupid. Now, I would like to see a bit more of a brutal punishment. Cut them. Do something. He cut Ra Thomas. Good for him. That dude beats kids. He doesn't deserve to be playing football. So thank God he got kicked off the team. But discipline does have to be rained down at some point. Like, suspending the player a couple games is not good enough at some point. It's got to be they're off the team. Once so many things are done. I mean, you had a player die and a member of your staff as well die a year ago, 2 years ago. I don't know how long ago that was. But within the last couple of years, you had some people die and you still got people acting reckless. That's unacceptable. Something does have to be done about that. But I'm not harping too bad on Kirby there. They've brought in people to talk to him. He's apparently made them go through excruciating practices. Like, from what I've read about what he's done, I don't really know what else he's supposed to do unless he just starts kicking players off the team, which not a lot of people do in college football. Like, if we're going to call Kirby to do it, we better start calling on a lot of other universities as well. But I'm a Georgia hater, so Britt crapping on Georgia is not making me mad.
Well, I mean, I'm a known hater of Nick Saban and how they clearly cheated for years. But one thing Nick Saban said that I respected and agreed with, that may be a hot take, is one of his players was, I don't know if he was on drugs or... And by on drugs, I mean smoking weed, something that plenty of people do that's not that big of a deal. Or I don't know what he was doing. But anyways, people were calling for him to kick him off the team. Nick Saban simply said, is it better for the kid for him to be kicked off the team or to stay on the team and us help him?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
That's easy.
Yeah. I agree. And I mean, there's certain things you can't play with. Like, you can't play with Ra Thomas beating his kid. You can't play with that. I don't care what happens. You got to kick that dude off the team. You got to. If he betters himself, goes to JUCO, whatever. Cool. Good for him. Glad he could turn it around. But if he don't, then who cares? Ultimately, we are 3 more Saturdays from college football. It's on the horizon. We can almost smell it, gentlemen and ladies. If any ladies are listening, shout out to the ladies. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to be in Lot 2. I'm spending the night in Lot 2 Friday night to wake up bright and early at 5 a.m. to start tailgating for the doors. So can't wait to stay the night in the 4Runner.
I forget you have a 4Runner.
It's over. Me and Britt twinned up with a 4Runners.
I love it.
Me too.
I love it. That's all I have. Next week, we'll be back next week.
We will. We'll be back next week. You'll be getting an episode from us again on Thursday morning, just like you are probably listening to this one. Next week is going to be the offensive preview. We're skipping the offense. Then we'll dive right into season predictions, and then we'll break it down Virginia Tech and UT Chat. It's really simple. There's the map until football season starts. Everybody get excited. Anchor down.
Go Vols. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. We're back.